Now that the Diddy trial has officially kicked off, things are starting to shift, and not in his favor. Surprising new revelations are surfacing, and reports suggest that Diddy might be connected to influencing witnesses and interfering with the case.
He is now being accused of obstructing justice, witness tampering, and so forth.
That's not all. Word is, he straight up lied under oath, and the judge reportedly isn't taking any of it lightly. In fact, sources say he's growing more furious by the minute, and if this keeps up, Diddy could be staring down a life sentence sooner than anyone expected. In this video, I'll break down the courtroom chaos and exactly what Diddy did to push the judge to the edge. The courtroom bombshell hit on Thursday, May 8, 2025. What started as just another day in the explosive case against the music mogul erupted into a legal disaster. Judge Aaron Subramanian presided over what is now being called a defining moment in this high-stakes trial. Since jury selection began on May 5th, the legal tension's been building like wildfire. Opening statements are locked in for Monday, May 12th, kicking off a trial expected to drag on for 8 to 10 intense weeks. The courtroom, packed with media and crawling with pressure, went on edge when evidence dropped, suggesting that Sean Diddy Combs committed perjury, straight up lying under oath during previous testimony. This dropped during a key pretrial hearing to finalize a pool of 45 jurors before narrowing down to the 12 main ones and 6 alternates. Prosecutors came in hard, presenting damning evidence that directly contradicted Diddy's earlier sworn statements, the alleged perjury ties to witness tampering, with prosecutors claiming Combs reached out to witnesses, a central focus of the prosecution and earlier bail hearings. Court documents show Combs had repeatedly denied contacting anyone connected to the case, but prosecutors hit back with proof that he allegedly used other inmates' phone accounts and three-way calls to get around restrictions, a clear violation of prison rules. But the real shock? One of the jurors in the pool turned out to work at MDC Brooklyn, the exact facility where Diddy's been locked up since September 2024. The room exploded in disbelief, with people literally laughing out loud at how insane this twist was.
Now, the issue with that is Diddy is currently locked up at MDC Brooklyn. He's been housed there since September.
So he could have got paid off, he could have got promised something, anything.
The judge's response was swift and ruthless. Not only was the juror immediately dismissed, but Judge Subramanian slammed both the prosecution and defense for failing to properly vet jurors. The room went silent as he emphasized just how serious the charges were and how absolutely no room for error would be tolerated moving forward. As the hearing went on, prosecutors shifted focus to what they called a disturbing pattern of deception by Combs, going way beyond just the juror mishap. They dropped receipts suggesting Combs deliberately misled the court about his contact with key witnesses, including people who had been subpoenaed by a grand jury. According to court documents, Combs allegedly called or texted Keena Harper, a former associate, 58 times in just 4 days, starting September 10, 2024, right after a lawsuit by Don Richard Hitt, accusing him of assault and other misconduct. The total number of contacts? 128 calls and messages, all before communications abruptly stopped on September 14th. Prosecutor Emily Johnson told the court these messages included emotional manipulation, asking for support, friendship, and even trying to convince the victim she'd consented to sex, all while dangling financial help. She accused Combs of using middlemen to push false narratives, essentially gaslighting witnesses to twist their testimony. The implications? Massive. If proven, these actions would be a direct obstruction of justice and a full-on attack on the legal system itself. Witness tampering had already played a major role in previous bail hearings, like back on November 27, 2024, when Judge Subramanian denied bail, citing strong evidence that Combs was violent and actively trying to tamper with witnesses. The judge also pointed to violations of Bureau of Prisons regulations meant to hide illegal communication. This wasn't the first time. Back on September 19, 2024, U.S. Magistrate Judge Robin Tarnowski denied bail, saying she couldn't guarantee Combs would return to court or not threaten the safety of the community, a decision that was later upheld, on appeal by District Judge Andrew Carter, Jr. The case had already been snowballing, with Diddy facing serious charges, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The indictment paints a picture of a man who, from 2008 to 2024, threatened, abused, and coerced women, running a criminal operation involving kidnapping, forced labor, arson, bribery, and witness intimidation. But what went down in court on May 8, 2025 changed everything. The hearing exposed even more: perjury, contempt of court, and possibly new criminal charges. Legal experts quickly pointed out, perjury in federal court is a felony, carrying up to 5 years in prison, completely separate from anything else Diddy's already facing. Even more urgent for his legal team was the impact on jury selection and the overall trial. With Judge Subramanian now openly questioning Diddy's credibility and furious over his behavior, the road ahead just got a lot more dangerous for the embattled music mogul. Reports from inside the courtroom say the judge is now referring the matter to federal prosecutors for possible additional charges, a rare and dramatic move for a case this public. On top of that, he revoked key procedural privileges from Diddy's legal team, calling out what he described as a pattern of deception and disrespect toward the entire process. The courtroom sat in stunned silence as it sank in. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist. The judge had tightened the leash, making it even harder for Diddy's team to operate as they prepare for opening statements. What started as a routine pre-trial hearing turned into a disaster, a defining moment that could completely change how this case unfolds. One thing is clear: Judge Subramanian is done playing games. Any attempt to manipulate the court, he's coming down hard. And these latest allegations? They line up with past claims made by Philip Pines, Diddy's former senior executive assistant, who, in a lawsuit and media interviews, painted him as a man who used power, money, and fear to keep people in line.
I remember hearing the words, "Prove your loyalty to me, King."
Phil Pines, who was Diddy's senior executive assistant from 2019 to 2021, revealing to journalist Mara Escampo details of the night he says Sean Combs coerced him into having sex with a woman at an out-of-control sex party.
In his lawsuit, Philip Pines alleged that he was pressured into sexual acts as a twisted way to prove loyalty, including being forced to have sex with a woman during what he described as a wild king night. He also claimed he was made to clean up after these parties, which allegedly involved heavy drug use, alcohol, and explicit sexual activity.
Freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time.
Alcohol, marijuana, ketamine, baby oil, and Astroglide were very important. Candles, incense.
Pines' allegations were initially viewed by some as unrelated to the primary charges against Combs. However, yesterday's developments suggest a troubling pattern of conduct that prosecutors now claim includes influencing witnesses and providing false information under oath. The judge's response came after prosecutors submitted evidence indicating that Combs may have been dishonest about his communication with certain individuals involved in the case and possibly tried to impact the fairness of the jury selection process. The revelation that one of the potential jurors was employed at MDC Brooklyn, the same facility where Combs is currently held, raised serious concerns. Although no direct link between Combs and this juror has been confirmed, the oversight by both legal teams in identifying this potential issue prompted a firm response.
Get this far.
Yeah, how did he get to the point where he's coming in front of the court and this is being put on record? Not only does it not look like, it doesn't look good, right?
Pines' allegations were initially viewed by some as unrelated to the primary charges against Combs. However, yesterday's developments suggest a troubling pattern of conduct that prosecutors now claim includes influencing witnesses and providing false information under oath. The judge's response came after prosecutors submitted evidence indicating that Combs may have been dishonest about his communication with certain individuals involved in the case and possibly tried to impact the fairness of the jury selection process. The revelation that one of the potential jurors was employed at MDC Brooklyn, the same facility where Combs is currently held, raised serious concerns. Although no direct link between Combs and this juror has been confirmed, the oversight by both legal teams in identifying this potential issue prompted a firm response from the court.
And I just thought to myself, if I don't do this, I don't know what's going to happen. This has all been a very psychological, emotional roller coaster for me.
He claimed he was tasked with cleaning up after these exclusive gatherings, which reportedly involved substances, heavy drinking, and adult behavior. His responsibilities allegedly included disposing of traces of those activities, handling cleanup, of personal messes, deleting potentially compromising footage, and maintaining discretion by quietly compensating hotel staff.
Ever see Diddy engaging in sexual activity?
I wouldn't see him engaging, but I would see him directing. He's usually the one filming, from my experience. You were instructed to scrub these things, deleting any photos and videos that might be on these devices.
This incident came directly on the heels of accusations that Combs had provided false testimony under oath regarding his communication with witnesses, creating what one courtroom observer aptly described as a perfect storm of judicial outrage. The legal pressure intensified further, with prosecutors pointing to what they called a consistent strategy of legal maneuvers aimed at delaying and obstructing the proceedings. On April 18, 2025, Combs' legal team filed a request seeking a 2-month adjournment to better prepare their defense, despite initially suggesting that only a 2-week delay would be necessary. This request followed the issuance of a third superseding indictment on April 4, 2025, which introduced 2 additional charges, 1 count of sex trafficking and another of transporting individuals for the purpose of engaging in prostitution. However, Judge Subramanian swiftly denied the request, asserting that Combs already had robust legal support, including a team of at least 4 attorneys, and reaffirmed that the scheduled trial date of May 5, 2025 would remain unchanged. The judge further emphasized he would not entertain what he characterized as a fishing expedition for more evidence. During yesterday's dramatic hearing, these mounting tensions came to a head as the court signaled that Combs' alleged dishonesty regarding witness communications was likely part of a larger scheme to compromise the judicial process. Legal analysts who observed the proceedings described the atmosphere as intensely charged, noting that the accumulation of evidence, suggesting perjury, had shifted the courtroom dynamic substantially. The judge's decision to refer the matter for further investigation into potential new charges underscored the seriousness with which the court viewed these allegations. Yet beyond the immediate courtroom fireworks, the implications of these revelations could extend deep into the trial, reshaping the narrative with credibility now looming as a central concern. With federal charges already hanging over him, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution, Combs faces accusations that outline a sprawling criminal enterprise allegedly operating between 2004 and 2024. Prosecutors assert that he used his media and business empire to manipulate and pressure women into sexual acts during orchestrated events known as freak-offs, using threats, violence, and blackmail to enforce compliance. Convictions on all current charges could land him in prison for several decades, but the added possibility of perjury charges only intensifies the legal stakes, with each federal perjury count carrying up to 5 years in prison, perhaps more. Pressing for the defense is how these explosive developments might influence the potential jury pool. Although jurors are explicitly instructed to base their judgments solely on evidence introduced during trial, the dramatic events and media coverage surrounding yesterday's hearing could shape perceptions well before the first witness is called. Compounding the challenge, The judge also revoked certain procedural privileges that had previously been afforded to the defense team. While specifics were not made public, legal experts suggest the revoked rights may include constraints on filing certain motions or presenting arguments related to specific pieces of evidence, limitations that could significantly affect the defense's ability to mount a thorough rebuttal. Given the complexity of the charges, such restrictions could limit how the defense challenges the admissibility of critical testimony or documents. With opening statements fast approaching on Monday, May 12th, Comam's legal team now faces the daunting reality of recalibrating their entire defense strategy under immense pressure and judicial scrutiny. Meanwhile, yesterday's revelations are already rippling through the broader case, bringing renewed focus to the testimony of other accusers and witnesses expected to play key roles in the trial. One prominent figure is Courtney Burgess, whose allegations include possessing sex tapes and referring to Comams as Lucifer in an interview with News Nation. Burgess claims to have video evidence of Comams and other celebrities involved in sexual acts and assaults, some allegedly involving minors. He also stated that at least 2 or 3 individuals in those videos appeared to be underage, and that the celebrities involved were drugged without consent. Comams has firmly denied all such allegations and has since filed a $50 million defamation lawsuit against Burgess, his attorney Ariel Mitchell, and News Nation. Nonetheless, these allegations form yet another complex thread in an already multifaceted legal battle. Further complicating matters are separate claims involving other high-profile individuals. In March 2025, an amended lawsuit by Ashley Parham named NFL star Odell Beckham Jr. and comedian Drusky, among others, alleging their involvement in a violent gang rape in 2018 in Orinda, California. Both men have denied the allegations, with Beckham stating he wasn't in Orinda at the time and had never met Parham, while Drusky pointed out he had no ties to the entertainment industry in 2018 and wasn't a public figure. Together, these multiple narratives form a tangled web of legal, social, and public challenges that prosecutors must carefully navigate. However, the courtroom theatrics from yesterday suggest that the trial's spotlight may increasingly shift toward evaluating Comam's trustworthiness and the extent to which he may have attempted to influence the legal process itself. According to multiple courtroom observers, the tension during the hearing was palpable, with the mood being described as electric. For Comams and his legal team, the path forward is now fraught with even more obstacles, not only in terms of public perception and legal hurdles, but also in maintaining credibility before a judge who appears to have lost patience. What was already a landmark legal battle with serious consequences has now escalated further, centering not just on criminal accusations, but also on questions of integrity, honesty, and respect for the justice system. Whether this moment proves to be a decisive turning point remains to be seen, but its impact on the coming trial is already undeniable.